Good evening. I'd like to welcome you all to Citizen Joe. And today I have with me Donna Williams, who is the president of Field Goods. And a lot of you may not know, but for decades I have been a proponent of local and organic foods. And it always has been one of those issues that gets me aggravated that there are not more of them in schools and institutions, and I think it's a direct problem with the lack of health of most Americans in this country. So anyway, I was very, very interested because my sister is a client of yours at the Health Alliance in Kingston. She gets your vegetables every week. And one of the things when I was reading about your business, how did you ever get from being an investment banker to being a deliverer of all these great local foods all over the Hudson Valley?
So, the veggie delivery lady.
Right.
Well, thank you for having me on the show. This is a great opportunity for me and my little company, so I appreciate that very much.
It's not so little. There's
no,
a thousand clients
and
150 locations where you deliver. So that's not that small anymore.
And actually, before I got here, we looked at it again. We're now up to 200 places that we deliver.
Well, why don't you tell me about the evolution of everything?
Evolution of everything. Well, I won't go into the whole long story of my career as it was, but I've done a lot of different things. But I did start off as an investment banker in New York in the 80s, now revealing my age, doing leverage buyouts and all of those kind of things of the exciting investment banking world, and really hated it. Didn't like it, but did it for several years, and then I went to business school at Columbia to not be a banker, which is kind of the opposite of what most people do.
So Columbia University
in
the
Columbia,
city?
Columbia Business School. And from there, I did a whole bunch of different things, but it included getting into the publishing world. I did an internet startup, and I worked in consumer health information, medical publishing. A lot of it was what I call a kind of thinking big thoughts, strategy work. And I still wanted to get closer to actually making a thing. So long and short of all of that.
At least you knew how to draw up a business plan.
Yes, I did. I was an expert at doing that.
You know, most of us have great ideas, but we don't know how to do that.
Well,
so
it was funny when and I'll get back to how I ended up in Athens, New York. But I had a whole bunch of different business ideas when I came here. And one of them, thank God I never did, had to do with landscaping. And so I've got my spreadsheets and this and that. My husband goes, get a shovel. Get a shovel. And it was like, oh my gosh, I have no idea what I'm doing, which is, as to the actual reality of what you need to do to do that kind of business. I just thought, the market's there and there's, roll-up opportunity, all this kind of strategy work. So that was a good piece of advice, to get a shovel. So I've kind of held that in what I've done with Field Goods.
Your mantra for the new business.
Exactly, get a shovel. Seems to fit well with the industry. But I ended up in this little town, Athens, New York, really by the force of the universe. I have to think. If I had chosen on my own, I never would have ended up there. I kind of call it the Athens vortex. There's a whole bunch of us that don't know why we're there, but we're there.
There's now the Crossroads Brewery, and the town has sort of come to life a little more, but it is a sleepy little town outside of Catskill, a suburb.
Yes, exactly. A suburb of Catskill.
So how did you end up there?
Well, actually, it was a series of misfortunes that brought me to the best time of my life. So I guess in retrospect, they really weren't misfortunes, but I had a lot of health issues. I had decided to leave the city. I had been in New York City for years. And so having decided to do that, I moved to Oregon to work with a startup company there, and that was when the tech bubble burst and they ran out of money, and then I started having back problems. And long and the short of it is I ended up having 3 back surgeries in 5 months. And the company had shut down, and I'd sold my place in Manhattan. So more or less, I found myself homeless and sick, living with my parents, and which was a big surprise. And so they had decided to build a house on Sleepy Hollow Lake, which is where I live in Athens now. And so I moved in with them thinking it would be for a short-term period while I recuperated. And then I just said, you know what? Screw it. I'm not going back to that. I'm just not doing it anymore. I'll figure out how to make a living in Greene County, which generally means you are either in real estate, you work for the prisons, or you're a farmer.
Or you're commuting.
Or you're commuting, exactly. And so I taught economics at St. Rose. I wrote a book. I just, did a bunch of things until I ended up working for some friends of mine at a startup company called Sahali Sachs. Which was a natural food product, and that's based in Seattle. So I worked there for several years, and we started that up, and we grew it to quite a large company. And when I left Sahali, I needed to figure something else to do. And by that time, I'd pretty much determined that I really wanted to do my own thing. So I had ended up doing a consulting job for Greene County. They wanted to look at how you build an agricultural incubator. Which is something still a lot of organizations are looking at, or areas or counties, because this whole local food thing is really a big deal.
Yes.
And there are a lot of young people that want to get into farming. So the idea is sort of like a tech incubator where everybody goes and shares the copy machine. The idea is everybody would go and share the tractor, to make things really simple. So I did a study for them about how to execute on that. What would it take, looking at local food, and where I came out of it was with a business idea for myself, which was field goods, because I took a look at everything and I said, okay, so there's a huge amount of demand, and there are certain kinds of models that are working right now for getting local food to people. They're, particularly the CSAs and the farmers markets, and then some groceries, stores, and then you have your standard, farm stands and that kind of thing. But none of them are really scalable in terms of really reaching a broader market. There's only so many farmers markets a farmer can do. Right. There's only so many people that can do a CSA, which is, just in case people aren't familiar with that, stands for Community Supported Agriculture. And what it is that people buy a share, if you will, in a farm's harvest. So if you were a CSA member, you would give XYZ Farm, say $500, $600, $700, depends, in March or so, and they would basically literally plant it, and then they'd harvest it. And say there were 100 other people, you'd each get 1/100th of what's harvested, and that's how a CSA works. So I took a look at all these things, and I came up with what the idea was for field goods. But I also incorporated into this, this very real issue we have about wellness and what we eat. And that's a very large component.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I just got back from a trip abroad, and I was catching up on my reading, and I read something about Sodexo, which is a French company that is supplying many schools and businesses with food.
Right.
And they were responsible for that horse meat scare in, I believe it was England. And we just had, they supplied to the military, a lot of places. And the quality, they're all about making as much money as possible. And they don't care about the quality, and it's all about the money. And they just had a recall of thousands of pounds of chicken for a listeria contamination. Additionally, in New York State, they just had to pay out $20 million in a lawsuit for damage. So why are we using a French company to get food to our schools, a corporation? Here you are in Athens, and you're growing, and you're dealing with local farmers, local, organic farmers as well as local farmers, and just look at the produce. It's fabulous.
Pretty amazing.
It is amazing.
What's out there. Yeah.
And my sister raves about it. She works at the hospital, Kingston Hospital. She doesn't have as much time to grocery shop as she would like.
Right.
And the food comes right to the hospital.
Yeah. I should actually take a couple minutes to explain how it works. How we work is our customers, we have individuals as customers, sign up for a weekly subscription, and we have 3 different sizes, $20, $25, and $30.
So 20, 25, and 30 a week?
A week.
So which is what a lot of people would spend and maybe not even get as high quality as this.
Well, I say to people when they say, well, what should I get? I'm like, well, how much should you be spending on produce each week? You think you should spend $20 on produce? And then people go, yeah, I should spend $20 on produce each week, but I don't know how much I spend. So, yeah, so for instance, we have this beautiful layout here. And part of this is some of our extra subscriptions that I'll go into in a minute. But the core of it is what you'd get in the $20 bag. So you'd get, look at this kale. This is gorgeous. This is Tuscan kale. It's sort of like the Cadillac of kale. And that's from Davenport Farms, who's actually in Ulster County, and they do a fabulous job. We have broccoli from Barber Farm, which is in Schoharie. We've got, the broccoli is from Davenport also. 2 different kinds of peppers from Barber Farm, Schoharie County. We gave people a pound or so of 3 different kinds of beans. And these are from these are called dragon tongue beans, aren't they? They're so cool. I always try to find like the neatest kind of things. And they're fabulous. And this is actually a good example of something else we do, and I'll come back to it. But this is from farm, it's way up in the Adirondacks, Mace Chasm Farm that we newly are working with. And they just got a bean picker, so now they're gone crazy with beans, and they had a whole bunch. They asked us if we could buy some, and we said, yes, that'd be wonderful. We have arugula from a tiny little farm in Hudson called Common Hands, which is a farm we helped start a couple of years ago. And it's a group of young, I would consider them young, they're in their 20s, people that farm. We have pears from Fix Brothers Farm that's been around for a couple hundred years. And the acorn squash is also from Common Hands. So you would have gotten all of these things in the small bag for $20. And then the $25, $30. There's more of the same stuff, plus maybe this week they got hydroponic lettuce from a farm that's in Greene County.
But you also, I noticed, put a newsletter in with the package. So if you're not clear on exactly how to prepare some of the more exotic choices, you will have a recipe right there.
Yeah.
So that's terrific. And it doesn't seem at all to me like an overwhelming amount of money. It seems like a lot less than you'd pay at a store, a ShopRite or a Walmart. And it's much, much healthier.
Yeah.
And I think when people make this commitment, they're making a commitment to their health.
Yes.
That's stopping
exactly
smoking or stopping whatever they're doing.
Because we say, in fact, what we do is we go and work with the HR departments or the wellness committees. It's not the only way we get field goods out, but it's one of the primary ways because companies are looking for ways to promote wellness in their employees. Well, they're paying
health insurance.
Right.
So they want to bring their rates down, and this is a great way to do that.
Well, it doesn't cost them anything. Because the employees pay for it.
Right.
All they have to do is help us market it to their employees, and then the employees get it at their work. So that $20 includes the delivery of the product. Right.
So people don't have to go to the store to buy anything. It comes right to them at their place of work. And the schools also, you deal with some schools.
We have quite a few, over 25 different elementary schools, private schools, high schools, all of which do it differently. Some of them have it just for the staff, some of it have for the families, some are open to the community, depending on how the schools wanted to do it. And actually one of the most, it was just really kind of gave me chills the other day. I looked on her Facebook page and there was a mom talking about how her son had brought his field goods bag back on the bus and had eaten all the peppers and tomatoes out of it before he got home. But oh my God, this is amazing.
That's so cute.
Because it's a fun thing. People say it's like Christmas. Kids get excited about it. They may not eat it, but at least they're looking at what's in the bag.
Well, they'll start eating more vegetables and fruits, and that's part of the problem.
Exactly.
There's too much in the way of processed food in the schools.
Well,
and I know they're trying to get away from it, but this is a great opportunity.
Yeah, for families to educate kids.
How far afield do you go? You're located in Athens, but you have accounts that go all the way down to where?
Right now, the farthest we go is Kingston, but that's more of a marketing issue than a production operations issue. we're building the company to continue to expand it, and we'll be moving farther and farther south.
Like into Westchester.
Yeah, into Westchester. And we go as far north as Saratoga, and we head over to Schenectady and then out to Avon Park, going west. So the model that I've built is scalable, because we buy from so many different farms. We can just keep increasing the amount that we're buying from more and more farms, which is a really important thing that's going on with this, and adding more vehicles on. And one of the key things that why this works, and it seems counterintuitive, it works because we don't give the customer choice, right? You get what you get, which helps on so many different levels. One, it lets me give you this amount of food for $20 that you'd end up paying, could be up to $30 if you went to the grocery store.
And plus the time and energy you'd have to expend in gas to get there.
Yeah. And I always say to people, and all the stuff that you're not buying because you're not going to the grocery store, which happens. I mean, you walk out with things. So what this not letting people choose does is it reduces waste. Because I can buy what's available and what farmers need to move, for instance, these beans. So that helps them. Because if we hadn't bought these, and this is called the dragon tongue bean, dragon blood. That's like,
it looks like a dragon tongue. I imagine it looks like.
Yeah, bean. This would have all gotten plowed under because she didn't have another market for it. So we decided to put that in the bag this week. And I also then know how much I need to buy. So I'm not buying an inventory. So that reduces waste. And I can talk about waste in our industrial food channel, which is a big part of why I think companies like Sodexo do what they do, or why you get what you get in the grocery store. And it really, in many ways, in my view, boils down to consumer choice and what we as consumers are demanding. We want perfect peppers 12 months out of the year. So that this pepper, which is truly a perfect pepper, it's got a little brown, little scarring here. It's gorgeous. There's nothing wrong with it. This wouldn't be sold in a grocery
they
store.
Eat it.
Yeah.
In Europe, they don't have a problem with it, but in America, everything has to be just, if people got used to getting food like that.
Right.
And now, with this whole movement toward the GMO, foods, it's getting, people are starting to pay much more attention to what they're eating.
Right.
And what effects it's going to have health-wise.
Yeah.
So you are, in effect, got into this, unbeknownst to you probably, at a perfect time. You know, I think more and more people are going to be wanting to control what they're eating.
Yeah.
It's one of the few things we all can control in our lives.
Yes.
So many things are out of our control.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Well, I say that I feel like Field Goods picked me. I didn't pick it. I'm just along for the ride, paddling as fast as I can. But I think, one thing I do, I talk about often is, when you go to a grocery store, and part of it, it's just the way we buy. These are organic. So, they're going to have, the way to make a perfect pepper is to manufacture it and slather it in pesticides so that nothing can get at it. So this pepper doesn't have anything on it, just it's no different than this. If you eat it, it's wonderful. But this pepper won't get picked in the grocery store, right? Even if you have good intentions, you're not going to pick this guy. Everyone's going to pick this one. So he sits there by his little self for days, and then he gets thrown out, which is why the grocery store can't buy this guy to begin with, which is why the farmers have to farm perfect peppers. So it goes to how we purchase our goods by sight in the grocery stores, and there's millions of us doing it every day. So they really have to be manufactured. And to do that, you need to do things like GMOs and pesticides, etc. And with Field Goods, you don't get to pick. So you get these peppers, and you're happy. Right. Because you're not looking at it relative to a whole bunch of others that are there.
You're looking at it. I don't have to grocery
shop. And it's organic, and it's fabulous.
Right.
So that's a big part of it, and that makes a big difference. And one of the old-time farmers I talked to, he goes, "Oh, I know what you're like. You're like one of those old vegetable peddlers." And I thought, I kind of am.
Right.
Because when they would go to the offices or, push their carts around, you only had so many things you could pick.
Right. And the people that got out early got the best.
Yeah,
pickings.
and then you got the rest. But,
Right.
again, it was... So I think that's a big part of why what we're doing is working as well as it is, because I really took a hard look at, how do people buy? Why do they buy? And I come from a marketing perspective,
right.
and
so
I came
so
from...
your business background really came in handy in researching this.
Yeah.
In a very odd way.
Right.
I mean, you should go back to Columbia University Business School and talk to
Right.
to people there who are students
Right.
about it. Because but now you are expanding, and it's barely been 3 years, not even 3 years.
Not even 3 years.
So what are your plans for the future of the company? I'm sure you have a plan.
Yeah.
At least you have a degree in this.
Exactly. I have a degree in it, exactly. Somebody
no
said,
excuses.
well, can you see your business plan? I said, I don't have time for a whole business, and that's what I used to do for a living. So it's very much in my head. I mean, sort of strategically, what I want to do is have field goods in different areas in the region, and the model is being built to allow for that. So you might have a field goods location in Danbury, Connecticut, where you'd have somebody running the operations there and buying from those farms in that area, or outside Syracuse.
So you're looking at the state, New York State, the entire state.
The state, and then the sort of the New England area. Things change so much that I don't kid myself in terms of having an exact...
Right. You plan for the next year, maybe the next 2 years, but not after that.
Right, but that's sort of how we're building things now. And there's always a trade-off between growing what I'd say incrementally, which is kind of how we've done it now. Although
what do you
our
mean
growth,
incremental?
Well, we haven't raised money. We haven't built... I haven't built... and invested a lot more than I need right now, right? So I could go and get a much larger facility to be prepared for a bigger launch. I haven't done those kind of...
a huge amount of money or get a patron, whatever.
Yeah, exactly, which is an option that you could do. But it's a new industry. It's a new business. We make it up every day how we do it. So... we want to learn how to do it as best we can before we get larger and larger. We're doing, I've had some wonderful consultant come in to teach us about lean manufacturing, which is a whole other topics, but it's really made a big difference for how we put things together. It's a very labor-intensive job, which is fabulous because we get to hire people in Greene County, which is a really high unemployment rate.
Yes.
In fact, I was thinking I've only hired a couple people that have actually had jobs when they came to field goods, and they had jobs at like the Extra Mart and Walmart. So we're making a big impact on Greene County and providing jobs that are really needed there, which are sort of low to mid-skilled jobs, but it's a growth business. So I have young people who can really run with things, which is really exciting, and grow with the company. So.
No, it sounds very exciting, and it must be very gratifying for you.
Yeah.
Although you probably never imagined in the years you were as an investment banker, you'd end up doing something so hands-on as this.
Well,
it is really...
Yeah. Let's say when I first started, the fact that I could lift 50 pounds of corn was much more useful than my MBA. I did everything myself to figure it all out.
Yeah, that's great. That is don't we all... I can lift 50 pounds of books.
Right.
And I write them, and who thought when I was an editor in Manhattan that I'd be lifting boxes.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do know
your
what
physical
you mean.
health is as important as your mental
This is true.
health.
This is true. But I want to ask you, you're up in Greene County, and some of the places you like to go to in your town or that area, because a lot of the people who watch this show come up on the weekends or like to explore on a day trip. Right.
Well, Athens is a great little town with a big variety of people, and so we like to stay in Athens because then we get to see everybody. And so there's a couple places that we go to. the Crossroad Brewery, which is phenomenal.
Fairly new.
Yes.
I was there a couple of months ago. It was wonderful.
Couple of years, exactly. And they have great beer, and it's a great menu, and it's a nice place to hang out, and it doesn't kind of make sense that it's in Athens, but it is, because Athens is about this big.
Exactly.
You know, like when you
But
drive
it's
through.
a great lighthouse.
Yes, it has a great line.
And you can get right down to the Hudson there.
Exactly, and we've had 2 movies filmed there,
Yes,
so you've
yes.
probably
War
seen
of
it.
the World.
And
what was the other one?
Ironweed.
Oh, yeah, oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
Meryl Streep died in the Stewart House.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, we've had 2. We're
No, it is. It's a lovely little place.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people, because it's off the beaten track a bit on 385.
Right.
Before you cross the Rip Van Winkle, you
Right.
take that left and you just go 4 or 5 miles and you're there.
right.
But a lot of people don't do that.
Right.
So, you know, but it is. It's a lovely
Yeah.
town.
Well, it's right on the Hudson River, and we go to the Stewart House, which has sort of been on and off for several years now, but they've opened it up again after the floods, and they were flooded. They got hit with Irene and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So
Do you ever go into Catskill? There's a wonderful gift shop there called Mahalo.
yeah, I have
Then,
a dress from there. Yeah.
Tina, who runs it, is terrific. And
Right.
she's very involved in promoting that town. And
Yeah.
there have been a lot of changes there
Yeah.
in recent years.
Well, we're big fans of Wasana.
Oh, yes.
Have you
yes,
been?
I have.
Sort of
It's a
the-
Thai restaurant.
Yeah, it's a little
Yes.
aesthetically challenged.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when you walk by it, you think, I'm not going in there. You just do go in there. And it's phenomenal. I mean, it doesn't make any sense that there's this incredibly authentic Thai food in
Right.
Catskill, New York.
But some people from Thailand ended up in
In
Catskill, like
New
you
York.
ended up in Athens.
Exactly.
Well, anyway, well, listen, it's really been such a pleasure to talk to you about this, one of my favorite
Yes,
subjects.
thank you.
And
And this is all yours
I really
now.
know the great bounty
Yeah.
of
Oh,
I
yeah,
know.
our pasta that we
Yeah,
deliver.
no,
and-
it's great. I mean, when
the
I
grapes and the
met
bread.
these, I've written 10 books, but when
Right.
I wrote Hudson River Valley Farms, which
Right.
I will give you a copy of
Thank
this, I interviewed 44 farmers from Stone Barns in Westchester
Oh, sure.
up to Albany,
Yeah.
the castle in Castleton, Gould Orchards.
Oh, yeah.
And I have to tell you, these people were such an inspiration. They were just amazing.
Yeah.
And you get to deal with them every day. They're the most creative, maverick entrepreneurs I've met in decades.
Yes, and they're all
Amazing.
so handsome and
And-
beautiful. I mean, as I get here, just like we would have fights over who got to do the farm
No,
pickup.
it's so funny. No, but anyway, thank you so
Yeah.
much for
You're
coming.
welcome.
And good luck with this. I'll
Thank you.
be interested to see where it ends up in another 3 years,
Yeah.
right?
All
And
right.
thank you, everybody, for tuning in this evening. Good night.